Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Red's Rankings, or whatever the heck I'm gonna name this series. So, Angry Bird Seasons. Honestly, I think this is actually better than the original. Now, some people might say the original is better, others may say Seasons is better. I'm personally on the idea that Seasons is better. Mostly just because it has more episodes than the original, which allows for more, creativity and stuff, and yeah. Now, I will admit, the episodes did seem to generally get worse over time. But there's a couple good ones in the later sections and a couple not as good ones in the older ones. So I'm gonna put this to the test. I'm gonna rank every single episode of Angry Birds Seasons, if that wasn't obvious already. Now, here's similar to last time, here's my method of doing this. It's pretty much the same thing, except instead of story, I have atmosphere. Does episode feel like the season's meant to represent? Does it actually properly make me think, oh yeah, this Christmas themed episode is Christmas, or this Halloween episode is definitely Halloween, or something like that? How detailed is it? And by that I mean, how much effort did they put into making the episode feel like it's a part of that season? Season represented any good, or is it just super obscure to the point where it's like, why would you make an episode out of this? Uh, anyway, level design is pretty much the same. How easy are the levels? Are the levels themselves memorable? How easy is episode of 3-star? Things like that. New additions, again, pretty much the same thing. Does it add anything new? Is it good in the first place? And things that are part of episodes, like birdware or paywalls, don't count towards this. So, for example, I won't rank Invasion of the Egg Snatchers at the lowest spot just because of the bird coins thing. And finally, the delivery. Again, same thing. Average of all the scores, total possible points is 20. Refer to my first one for more detailed explanations of those last 3. Now, I'm not going to be ranking every single episode here. That would take way too long. For example, episodes like The Pig Days or The Pirate Test Site I'm not going to be ranking just because I consider those to be bonus episodes. So, sorry to all the Pig Days fans. Though, honestly, Pig Days would probably end up being number 1 just because of how big it is. Though it might not be. I don't know. Episodes that are a part of, or like part 2s to other episodes, like Piggywood Studios Part 2, Ham Dunk All Stars, and Ham Dunk The Finals. I'm gonna ranking all episodes into multiple episodes as one episode. So I'm ranking all of Piggywood Studios and all of Ham Dunk all at once. Just because when I started playing the game, that's how they were set up for me. So it feels more fair for me that way. And I'm also not going to be ranking the Pig Challenge for 2 reasons. 1, because it's a tournament-based thing and not an episode. And 2, because it's pretty much dead. And I don't want to judge something I've never played for myself. So, I feel like that's a fair thing to do. Disclaimer, before we finally start getting into the ranking, this is only my opinion. I did try and keep this as objective as possible. Try and keep it as non-biased as I possibly could. But I'll admit, my opinion did get a bit in the way of some of these. Okay, just remember that, because you can disagree if you want, but just don't be super mad about it or anything, alright? Okay, cool. Moving on. The worst one at number 29, Hammier Things. God, I hate this episode so much. But you're in for that angry burst, weren't you? No, but seriously, this might be the worst episode in all of Angry Birds ever. It's just so boring. I mean, it's just trees. It's just trees with an orange glow behind them. Oh, but it's inspired by Stranger Things. No. No, it's not. I'll admit, I don't know that much about Stranger Things. I've never seen it. But based on the little information I do know, it has absolutely nothing to do with it. Despite it being a free update for what I assume at the time is a free game, it is somehow a cash grab. And I don't even know how that's possible. I mean, look at Bubbles' tutorial level here. This thing is ridiculously hard to 3-star. I'm not saying the original wasn't, but come on. You could have made it a bit better. Oh yeah, and that reminds me, this episode was also supposedly like a tutorial level. Like the new one, after they locked the real one behind a paywall. And you just wait and see where I rank Trick or Treat later, but that episode pales in comparison as a tutorial level to this thing. There's not even anything new added here either. It's just a compilation of the same stuff, which, oh boy, there's other episodes like that. Some did it well, others didn't really do it well. But yeah, overall, this episode really blows, and I hate it, and I never want to see it again. And let's just move on before I start going crazy with rage. Number 28. Mary Hamtoinette. I don't know. I don't. First of all, this episode's French. Second of all, let's get the elephant out of the way. The movie designs. Now, I've personally never really hated the movie designs. Like, sure, it is weird how they gave the characters whose whole charm is that they're extremely basic and easy to draw limbs. But it worked for the movies. It worked for the movies, and they really should have just kept it to that. But throwing them here, especially in this episode, is just super awkward. Because it's just so obvious here that they just use stock renders and put them everywhere. Like, come on, guys. Put a little more effort than that. Anyway, the episode itself just really sucks. It's second to worst for a reason. Like, it's just so plain and boring. Ugh. And too fancy. I don't do a whole lot of fancy. But and the levels themselves are equally as boring. They're just a bunch of these hedge things that are almost just a reskin of snow, and it's like, oh, and it's like, it's the whole level's just this, then okay, maybe they're easy. No, some of these are the hardest levels in Angry Birds ever. And I spent way too much time trying to restart them. Only reason I didn't use power-ups, I didn't have any. Because they're this hard to restart. Ugh. But overall, the only thing keeping this from the bottom spot is the fact that it adds something new. And overall, it sucks. Anyway, I thought there was another slide after that. Anyway, moving on to number 27. Invasion of the Egg Snatchers. Okay. So I did say I wouldn't rank this super. I wouldn't say it's like the bottom spot because of bird coins. And it's not. It's super low for other reasons. Okay, but first I actually have compliments for this episode. First of all, I like the theming of 50s horror movies. Something really cool, and the parodies are pretty cool and kind of funny. Plus, the whole like Vegas nighttime desert atmosphere, despite being a little plain, is pretty cool. And that's just about where my compliments end, unfortunately. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of those recently, but overall, despite me liking the atmosphere and theming of this episode, the rest of it kind of blows. Like, the difficulty in this one. There aren't a lot of levels that are too hard to beat, necessarily. But then when it comes to 3-starring them, I unfortunately don't have a lot of examples here for some reason. Just couldn't find any on Google, but... there's just those that are just so hard to get that 1/3 star. You think you're just a little bit away, but you're actually a million away, and it's just, why? Plus, similar to a lot of episodes around the bottom spot era, this doesn't add any new features whatsoever. And just, it's kind of boring because of that. Overall, despite the fact that I like the theming for this one, its difficulty and lack of new ideas definitely really brings it down. And that's a theme for a lot of these, by the way. Its difficulty will really bring down a lot of these episodes that I really enjoy. But overall, I think we should move on to the next episode now. Or not. I forgot there was this one too. Whatever. Number 26. Cherry Blossom. Okay, so this one's kind of awkward because it's a newer one mixed in with a bunch, or an older one mixed in with a bunch of newer ones. And there's one reason why it's so low. Level 1 and 2, as well as a couple other ones, are just ridiculously hard to 3-star. So yeah, remember when I said that would be a bit of a theme here? Okay, well obviously I do like some things in the episode. Like, the background is kind of nice. Okay, I can't really even say that. It's a little plain. Like, cool, Mount Fuji or whatever one that is in the background is pretty neat. But there are times when it's pretty obvious where it ends. And also, just the atmosphere overall is just, eh. And like I said, similar last time, a lot of the levels here are just really hard to 3-star for no reason. Even if this is a short, quick episode to put out. Also, again, similar to a lot of episodes around here, there just aren't any new features added whatsoever that change gameplay at all. So, it's ultimately kind of boring. Overall, despite me really wanting to like this one, there's just so many factors that I just can't like it. Mostly the difficulty. Anyway, moving on to number 25, we have Summer Camp. Okay, so, yeah, this one's kind of awkward. The atmosphere is very weird, honestly. Like, you have this super detailed background for no reason. And then... But it's just so far away where you can barely tell anything's there. So, well, the atmosphere is a little nice. It's dragged down by the fact that it's kind of hard to tell things. Now, I like how a lot of the levels here do represent a lot of summer camp activities. Now, I've never been to a summer camp myself, but seems like everyone here is having a bit of a good time. Except for the fact that, this episode is ridiculously difficult. I said this would be a theme, and we're continuing with that theme, so, Anyway. Plus, just like a lot of the episodes here, there's nothing new added to it, really, that changes gameplay too much, and it's just basic, boring, forgettable. I don't like it. This episode's not very good. There's a lot better summer episodes out there. Moving on. After this one, ignore the thing there. I couldn't find a whole lot of levels for this one because it sucks. Anyway, number 24. Ski or Squeal. Okay, so this one is another one that I actually have compliments for. Again, I really like the atmosphere of this one. I really like how a lot of the levels here feel like the episode's high up. Like on top of a big mountain that you're gonna ski all the way down. That's pretty cool. I'm also a big fan of 80s. There's a lot of 80s here, especially with the theme. Theme's very cool. So yeah. Anyway, unfortunately, because it's relatively near the boss out. We're still in the 20s yet. This is unfortunately going to be very, very difficult. And there, again, are a lot of levels here that are just really hard to 3-star for no reason. And you get the idea by now. Plus, again, not a lot of new features or anything. So, like, yeah. Overall, well, I do like the theme. Again, I like the atmosphere for this one. I like the theming, but overall, eh. But it doesn't. The Golden Egg level has a Rudolph Rendo's reindeer reference, which is pretty cool. Anyway, number 23, Piggywood Studio. Oh yes, another one I do kind of enjoy, even if this one is a little weird. Now, this is based on a lot of movies, and the reason for that is because the season it's supposed to be celebrating isn't technically a season. Okay, like I mentioned earlier in the video, this one was split into 2 parts. Part 1 was meant to be celebrating, like, a film festival or whatever, so that's kind of cool. But then Part 2 is a little awkward, because Part 2 came out to celebrate the Angry Birds movie releasing on DVD. So why not put this one in Classic exactly? This would have felt right at home there. Probably because that one already had Angry Birds movie levels. Oh yeah, and a lot of the movies featured here are very weird. Like, obviously you have some classics here and there, but then you have things like We Bought a Zoo. I watched that movie once, and it's not exactly a kid's movie. I don't know exactly when it came out, but I don't think I don't think that's a very popular one. And where's other classics? Where's Star Wars? Where's Ghostbusters? Well, I can understand why Ghostbusters wasn't there, but it's very weird. Oh, and also difficulty, I guess. Yeah, it's fine, but very difficult to 3-star overall. And when it comes to new additions, there's not a whole lot here. But there is... What I consider this is Angry Birds Seasons The Recap. Because it just includes pretty much everything else ever seen in this, so... that's kind of awkward. Overall, I like this one, but it's got some weird features to it that don't make a whole lot of sense in retrospect. Anyway, moving forward, at number 22, we have Moon Festival. Okay. I promise, this episode is just boring. Okay. I can't necessarily say that, but... what I mean is, despite this being a classic episode from the olden days, it's just a little eh to me. When it comes to the atmosphere, it's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, you got the big moon with a rabbit in it, but then everything else is just a little weird. Like, obviously, you got some cool Chinese stuff everywhere, and then the background's a painting thing. Okay, what world are we in exactly? What does the World of Angry Birds special guide say? It doesn't say anything as to why we're in a painting. Okay, that's weird. No one has an explanation for that. But, anyway. Yeah, so despite the fact that I like the atmosphere in this, it's a little weird. It doesn't really have an explanation for some reason. Plus, again, difficulty. This time things aren't too hard around, now that we're actually nearing the higher 20s. But overall, this episode, it's got some levels that are hard, man. Not to mention the golden moon cakes, which, while cool to put together, is just super hard and requires like a lot of birds rolling off the edge of the slingshot, which is so hard to pull off, and ugh, so annoying every time I have to do that. And again, new additions, not a whole lot here, unfortunately. Just, eh. Overall, the episode's nice. It could be better. And yeah, I'm sorry, I sound like a broken record at this point. Let's just move on. At number 21, we have Summer Picnic. Okay, now this is another classic one, and I actually do kind of enjoy this one. But, again, it's just kind of basic, personally. Okay, you got the atmosphere, you got golden field, you got all kinds of clouds everywhere, and even the sky looks exactly like the sky would look like during summer, which, kudos to Rovio. Wow, good job. But, everything else, like, in terms of, like, the symbolism stuff, you got just the classic summer icons, like flowers and butterflies and... Wait a minute. Those are more spring things. Yeah, so that's kind of awkward. And, again, despite this not being a bad episode or anything, it does make it feel a bit more basic and not exactly very summer-themed. The difficulty of this one is, thankfully, a lot more easier than other episodes we've been looking at so far. Like, levels aren't too hard to 3-star, though there are a couple trickier ones here and there. It's more than possible than other things we've seen, thankfully. And, again, unfortunately, it doesn't have a whole lot of new additions. Unless you count the gravity mechanic on level 17, made to celebrate the moon landing anniversary, which is probably the coolest level in Angry Birds ever. Okay, obviously Angry Birds Space exists, and Angry Birds Star Wars exists, but, you know, this is actually a pretty cool level for the time, and offered some pretty nice foreshadowing for Angry Birds Space. Overall, despite that, this is still kind of just a regular episode that is a little basic, but I can still enjoy it nonetheless. Moving on to number 20, we finally made it to Ragnarok. Ah, yes, the one with the very fitting name, considering it's the last episode, and Ragnarok is pun, Ragnarok, which is Nordic apocalypse. You know, you've all seen the Thor movie. Point is, I like this episode, but it's got some flaws to it. I can't deny that. Starting with the atmosphere, and yeah, I had to take Ingrid's Nest, and there wasn't a whole lot here, unfortunately. Right, anyway, as I was saying, the atmosphere. You got cool mountains in the background, and cool Viking stuff everywhere, which is really nice to see in terms of the theme of this episode. And while, yeah, technically they are stolen from Ingrid's friends, I'm probably not going to be ranking Ingrid's friends, so... They're original for here, baby! Yeah, anyway, it all really does help to put the theming of this episode together, and I really like that. But then there's the difficulty. There's some levels that aren't too bad, but some of the ones, such as this one, for example, are just really hard to beat for some reason, and require weird 3-star things, and it's just a product of it being a 2016 episode. But then there's new additions, which there aren't a whole lot here. Actually, there aren't any new gameplay additions at all whatsoever. Kinda sucks for the final episode, but whatever. Overall, despite the fact that I really like this episode, I can't deny it is a little flawed. But still a fitting conclusion for Angry Birds Seasons, nonetheless. Moving on now to number 19. Arctic Expedition. Alright, so this one's kind of a little awkward, because not very Christmas themed, despite it being a Christmas Advent calendar episode. But, this is probably one of the most boring episodes in Angry Birds ever. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I mean, first of all, you got this super generic snow theme. And compared to, like, all the cool, magical Christmas stuff that came before, you got this now, and it's like... It's too sciencey for me. I like science, usually, most of the time, but then there's this, and it's just like... No. This is really, really boring. Especially atmosphere-wise. I bet you didn't even know that big white thing over there is the moon. Yeah. Kind of awkward. Anyway. When it comes to difficulty, I'm just gonna say, this episode is too easy. Like, normally, obviously, I've seen before, difficulty in episodes can rank them a bit low, but this one is just so easy to 3-star, except for, like, one other level. And it's just like, what the heck? Why is it so easy all of a sudden? And then there's the new additions. There's the furnace thing, which, like, it's basically a bigger TNT-ish. And then there's the snow stuff, which isn't exactly new, but... It just upgrades different versions, I guess, of previously seen things. So that's kind of awkward, actually. Overall, well, I don't hate this one. It's definitely very awkward, very boring episode. And honestly, I probably would have ranked this one as the worst Christmas episode if it weren't for the fact that other episodes were a bit more flawed. Anyway, moving on to number 18, Wreck the Halls. Okay, I'll be honest, I really tried to rank this one as high as I could. I did. But there were just some things that just really put this episode super low. Okay, but let's talk about the atmosphere first. I love the atmosphere for this episode. It is a huge upgrade to the previous season's greetings, which we'll talk about later, don't worry. Obviously. Okay, you got all kinds of new Christmas items and stuff. The cookies are cool. Obviously, the background is a much better upgrade. But overall, similar to Invasion of the Egg Snatchers and Skier Squeal, this is where my compliments mostly end for this one. Because then there's the difficulty. While some episodes aren't too hard to 3-star, there's others that just are ridiculously hard. Like 1-3, 1-4, one of the ones where it's like the blues and like the two sections of the ice things. That one is just so hard to 3-star. It almost made me give up 3-starring episodes entirely, which, wow. So yeah, that's kind of awkward there. But yeah. And then when it comes to new additions, this episode never added anything new to the gameplay. It's kind of there, so overall, I like this one, but it's just Not good. Oh yeah, and the final episode too. This one's glitched on the newer versions for some reason. Just go down to older versions. I'm sure they'll work somehow. Probably. Hopefully. Yeah. I like the atmosphere of this one. The rest of it's kind of eh. Anyway, number 17. Easter eggs. Oh boy, this is the start of what I like to call the 2011 trio. What I mean by that is, those the 3 episodes came out in 2011. Hugs and Kisses, Go and Get Lucky, and Easter Eggs. Right? Those are 3 episodes that each have 15 levels, but also 3 bonus levels at the end of them. And they all came out like a month apart from each other. So, the 2011 trio. And I guess Moon Festival is that awkward 4th member. Anyway, they're all about the same, but Easter eggs is technically the worst of them, I guess. When it comes to atmosphere, I like the rolling green hills. I think it really helps with the whole bouncy Easter theme, I guess. But overall, it's just kind of similar to Some Picnic. Despite it fitting with the theme and all, it's honestly kind of plain. Probably just a product of 2011. The difficulty for this one isn't too bad. There's not any notable levels that are ridiculously hard to 3-star or anything. And it's just a fun episode to play in general. Similar to the Mooncake Festival, is also just a ton of golden eggs on this one to find, which is fun the first time, but once you get them, the rest of the episode is just kind of there, I guess. Plus, similar to a lot of episodes recently, this one didn't add any new gameplay features or anything, unfortunately, so that kind of sucks. Other than the golden egg thing, I guess, technically, but not really. No, not at all. So, overall, well, technically not a bad episode. It's also not really. It's also kind of boring and plain and basic and just in general. Next up, number 16. Fairy Hogmother. Okay, so we interrupt the 2011 trio to give you Fairy Hogmother, I guess. We'll be back to it right after this, I promise. But, yeah, this is the best of the 2016 episodes. And even then, it's still kind of awkward. So, similar to Pigwood Studios in a way to where, unlike basing scenes off of movies, well, I guess it is technically basing scenes off movies, just specifically Disney movies, they're more basing them off of fairy tales. Though, yeah, as I mentioned before, it's more based on the Disney version of them rather than the original German version of anything. How cool would it be to, like, have a level where you launch themselves with the eyes of the stepsisters or something? That would be a cool reference, but no, too dark for kids or something, I guess. Anyway, atmosphere. Yes, I like the atmosphere of this one. I like the love castle fairy tale-esque world around here. It's really cool. And also the fairy tales parodied are also really fun and cool and all and stuff. And I like this one. Unfortunately, this one does also have a couple tricky ones here and there, like ones that are really hard to 3-star. But then there are also ones that are really fun as well, so you got a good balance between the two, actually. And then as for new additions, I guess it technically added the magic wand, but that's kind of a reskin of the technology box thing. You know, the one where it's like you hit it and then it connects to another box that causes something to do something. Except the magic wand doesn't have a second connection to it. It's just and then it does a thing, and there you go. So, kind of cool. Overall, I like this one. But it is also kind of flawed, similar to a lot of episodes around here. Anyway, moving back, number 15, we have Hugs and Kisses. Yeah, I told you we returned to the 2011 trio. Yes. The first episode of 2011. And it's alright. Like you got the love atmosphere everywhere and stuff, and it's pretty fun to see and play through and stuff. But, it's still a little basic, despite the love trees and the clouds being everywhere. The difficulty for this one isn't too bad either. There's a lot of fun ones to play here, even if there's only like one or two that are like really hard to 3-star. Most notably 1-3 actually. That one's really stupidly hard, but other than that, the rest of these aren't too bad in terms of 3-starring. But then we actually have a new addition for once, which is the Cloud Block. They're kind of a reskin of Snow Blocks-ish, but like, sometimes they're really hard to destroy, other times they're just super easy. They do whatever they want, I guess. They're kind of awkward, but yeah, the Cloud Blocks are pretty cool. Overall, I like this one. It's got some good things going for it. But again, a lot of other ones around here, kind of flawed. I promise we'll get out of that really soon. Because next one here, number 14. Go Green, Get Lucky. Alright, now this is a cool episode. I love St. Patrick's Day theming here. It's really fun to see all this. I love the land. I love everything. Alright, atmosphere. The background is beautiful. You're telling me this came out in 2011? God, this is one of the most beautiful backgrounds I've ever seen, ever. Up there with a lot of the ones you'll see later. But, yeah, it's pretty cool. Difficulty-wise, this one isn't too bad either. There's a couple tricky ones here and there, but overall, this one is actually pretty easy. It's a 3-star. Well, I can't say easy. There are definitely some challenges here and there, but overall, not too bad. And then, oh, okay. And then we actually have, where? Oh, there we go. Ignore that. And then we actually have ourselves a new addition, which is the Clover, the 4-leaf Clover blocks thing. Yeah. Okay, so this one's actually a little awkward. Because the 4-leaf Clover blocks, apparently, there's 4-leaf clovers on the levels, and when you destroy those, it destroys the corresponding block to it. I didn't know that until Maximus Overdrive's overview of the Go Green Get Lucky plush toys. Yeah, that's what told me about this new edition, so kind of an awkward addition here, if I was able to 3-star the episode without even knowing there was a unique feature here. And it's weirdly never seen again for some reason. I wish I would have brought that back and made it a bit more obvious, honestly, but yeah, whatever. Overall, I like this one. I think it was a fun one, and just a fun episode with good atmosphere, good backgrounds, but just shy of some of the best. Such as, for example, number 13, Abracabacon. Okay, so this one's honestly a bit of a compliment sandwich for me. And by that I mean I have a good thing to say about it, and then a bad thing, and then another good thing. So let's start with the good thing. The atmosphere. This feels like I'm playing through just the entire circus, the whole carnival, and it is just super cool and super fun to play through. One weird issue with this episode, though, in terms of, like, atmosphere stuff, this is supposed to be representing I don't remember if it was national, international, but I think it was international. International Clown Day. What the heck is that? In fact, I tried looking it up. It gave me, like, nothing. It gave me, like, results for, like, when the circus is in town. I thought the circus was dead, honestly, but I don't know. So, yeah, this one's honestly kind of a weird, obscure one to make it about, and it's probably one of the reasons why the Pig Days exists. Because this would have absolutely been a level on the Pig Days rather than an entire episode on its own, despite this one being a fun one. Oh, and when I say fun, oh, difficulty. Oh, this one is hard. This one is so hard. Not most of the time, thankfully, but there's a good chunk of levels, like 2-13, I think it was. That's a really hard level to do, and oh man, is it annoying. It's a ton of these. But then, there's also a ton of new additions. Yeah, this is the one. That's stupidly hard to 3-star. But yeah, a ton of new additions there too. Like, you got... Okay. You got the got cages, I guess, technically. I got the weights, that's it. The weights, which are kind of an instant destroyer, so not that special. Then you have the what was it? I was thinking about this earlier. What that thing? I know what. Yes, the star block thing. The star blocks. Yes, those blocks, which they didn't even try to hide. It was a reskin of Snow. It uses the same breaking animation for some reason. Kind of awkward, but whatever. And then there's... Okay, you know the one I'm gonna say next. The portals. The portals are the coolest feature in this one. So cool and so unique, they got their own tutorial dedicated to them. And I'm talking tutorial level. I'm talking visual tutorial. Like when you get the birds, and then it shows the animation of how the birds work. You get one of those for the portals. That's how cool and unique they are. So, yeah. Obviously, you got great atmosphere. You got great atmosphere. You got great new additions. But the difficulty is kind of ridiculous. So, that does bring this one down a little bit. But overall, I do really like this one. Moving on to number 12. South America. Okay. You're telling me this is the worst of 2014? Okay, I guess I shouldn't technically call it that. Because, wow. This is a fun episode. Similar to Ski or Squeal. This does a really good job at making the whole thing just feel super high up and stuff. Like you're in whatever country in South America is supposed to be. I kind of forgot. And I don't want to offend anyone. So, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of cool new features here, like the unique decorated stone blocks. That is such a cool feature. I love those. Okay, the difficulty, however, again, unlike Epic and Bacon, there's not any specific levels that are ridiculously hard, but this one's at least not that hard when it comes to 3-star. It's challenging, but not difficult, thankfully. And while it does add technically nothing new, it is still fun to see. It's still fun to play and stuff. And okay, this doesn't have anything new, and that's mostly what brings it down, but still. I love this episode for what it is, and I think it is a great addition to Angry Birds Seasons. I also got these little guys here. I don't technically count them because they're instant killers, but still. They're really cool to see. Next, number 11. Season's Greetings. Ah, yes. The OG Christmas episode. Such a classic, too. Okay, but I can't deny. It's a little flawed. Let's start out the background. I do like the contrast between this and Trick or Treat with the pine forest and stuff, but This one's just a little plain. It's just got land and then a row of trees and then sky with snow falling. That's about it. They didn't really do much of anything with the background. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it's something I think Wreck the Halls does better in this regard. But other than that, this one's a really fun one. The difficulty isn't too bad this one. Again, there's no one specific episode that I can directly point to and say, this one's really hard to 3-star or anything. But, yeah, there are a couple tricky ones here and there, though. But none of them that are too bad. Plus, then you got new additions. Like, the presents. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I mean the snow. I mean, this is such a staple of Angry Birds seasons that it's even included in some non-Christmas episodes. That is pretty cool. So yeah. Despite the fact that it is just a little bit flawed, I do really enjoy this one. I think it deserves up there with one of the best. Although just shy of number 10. Yes, we finally made it to the top 10. I probably should start speeding things along here. Number 10, Back to School. Okay. Similar to other episodes, similar to Cherry Blossom, well, the first 3 levels or so are just really hard to 3-star. There's a ton of levels here, levels in this episode that are just really hard to 3-star for some reason. So, how did it make it to the top 10 exactly? Well, one thing is a good atmosphere. We got all kinds of school stuff around here. Nice, fun, rainy day on the playground. It really feels like a school day. It's something I probably shouldn't be happy about, but, you know. And then you got, okay, so, yeah, okay, like I said, lots of objects, cool background. Though I do kind of wish it would have taken place within a school directly. That would have been cool, but whatever. Anyway, as I mentioned, the difficulty, there are a couple tricky levels here. But overall, the rest of them aren't too bad. And I do like most of them. And it is generally kind of a fun episode to play. And then when it comes to new additions, well, we have Stella. That's right. A new bird. That's how this cracked the top 10. So yeah, that's always really cool to see. She's got bubble powers. A little too bouncy for my liking. I don't know why Stella's so bouncy, but whatever. That's probably how they got inspiration for her power in Stella, actually. But whatever. Yeah, we got ourselves a pretty cool episode. Cool atmosphere. A couple tricky levels, but overall not too hard. And a brand new bird. Now this is a good episode. Moving on to oh, I forgot to do that one, I think. Number 9, Piglantis. Okay. I won't deny, there's a ton of tricky ones here to 3-star, but this is a good one. Alright, atmosphere. Just awesome beach aesthetic. Much better than the previous summer picnic episode, technically. And overall, just really fun to look at, especially with the ocean breeze in the background and stuff. I love the aesthetic of this one. It's great. And then the difficulty. As I mentioned before, again, this one's got a couple tricky ones here and there, but there are a ton of levels here that are just really fun to play. And aren't too hard to 3-star overall. And then, oh, the new additions. I picked a back image for this one, actually. But you got water on this one. Which, again, just became a staple of Angry Birds seasons in general. So many episodes used the water. A bit later than Big Atlantis, actually, but hey, it helped Big Atlantis feel a little more unique, too. So that's nice. Overall, you got yourself a ton of fun things in this episode. A ton of fun new additions. I do have one complaint, though. The fact that the mermaid pig is seen all over the marketing and promotional images for this episode, even though they're nowhere to be seen in the actual episode itself, unless you count King Pig here. Which is kind of awkward, but whatever. It's fine. Anyway. Next at number 8. Year of the Dragon. Oh yeah, Year of the Dragon, baby. This one's a cool one. Okay. Let's take this one step at a time. First of all, atmosphere. Really fun. Love all the Chinese New Year aesthetic everywhere. I love it. I love all the details put into all the blocks and stuff. Of the new retextured blocks and everything. It's all so cool looking. And I love every second of it. And then the difficulty. This one's not too hard to beat. This is actually a fairly simple, easy level. I can't think of one specific level that's just really tricky to 3-star on this one. This ain't too bad. Okay. I think it's time we talked about the Mighty Dragon. Okay, he's not actually that good. But tell me this isn't one of the coolest Angry Birds characters of all time. First of all, he's a dragon, which is awesome. And second of all, okay, that's about it. He's a dragon, but alright, you got a koi fish. He's risking on the Mighty Eagle. That's already really cool. But yeah. Unfortunately, when it comes to this guy, that's another cool thing about them. Unlike the Mighty Eagle, the Mighty Dragon is free. That's right. You can download Angry Birds Seasons right now. Go to Year of the Dragon and use the Mighty Dragon for free without paying a single cent. That's how cool this guy is. Okay, but the problem with this guy, though, is that 1-5 for this one is impossible to Mighty Dragon. I have tried it so many times. It just will not give that damn koi fish to me. But other than that, great episode. I love it. It's amazing. It absolutely deserves the top 10. Moving on, number 7. Tropical Paradise. Okay, I'll admit, I wasn't expecting anything past, 2013 to pass the top 10. But Tropical Paradise managed to crack it. How the heck did it do that? Well, let's take a quick look here. First of all, the atmosphere is amazing. You got it both at daytime and at nighttime, which is just already so cool. And they both look really great, both together. Even if the backgrounds themselves are technically a little plain, the foreground detail just adds so much to it. And it's so amazing. And the two aesthetics work together so well. The difficulty of this one isn't too bad either. There's a couple tricky ones here and there, but overall, this one is actually fairly simple to 3-star. And I really like that. And, oh boy, we've got to talk about all the new different additions and stuff. I got the palm trees, you got the different types of wood stuff, like the big wooden sticks and the wood things. I don't know what they're called anyway, but all the Hawaiian stuff in this level. That's so cool. Oh, and the lava. I can't forget the lava. That's a really cool feature. It's super fun to use and destroy stuff with. I really love it. This level is perfect aesthetic-wise. This level is so fun to be. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, the wood, by the way. All the wooden bars and stuff you see around the ship. But yeah. Fun new additions. Fun to beat. Just a really fun, cool, good episode. And I really love it. Number 6. Ham-O-Ween. Oh, yeah. Now, this is a good sequel. Look at this level. Look at this episode, man. This is a really fun Halloween episode. And honestly, the first thing I think of when I think of Angry Birds Season's Halloween. First of all, the background. Just the dark dreariness of it all. It just really adds that Halloween vibe. And plus, you got all the pumpkins and skeletons and stuff everywhere. Lanterns. A lot of stuff is taken from Trick or Treat, but a lot of stuff is new to this one as well. And it's all really cool when it all comes together. Oh, man, this one's good. The difficulty of this one, however. Yeah, there are some levels here that are a little tricky. But overall, this one is yet another really fun one to play. And just lots of fun beating the levels and stuff. Something can be super satisfying, destroying them all. I love this one for that. Oh, and then we have new additions. There's the Black Pumpkin, which, again, kind of a TNT reskin. But also, another new bird. We got Bubbles. He inflates. He's also my favorite. Yeah, shut up, Bubbles. Go away. Get out of here. My ranking. Okay, so yeah. Brand new bird. Awesome atmosphere. Fun gameplay. That aren't too many hard levels to 3-star. This is a good episode. Moving on. Number 5. Ham Dunk. Alright. I'll admit, I'm not that big of a basketball fan. But this one is a really, really fun episode. First of all, the atmosphere. Oh my god. Seeing all the pigs lined up in a big crowd. Seeing the basketball court themed area and everything. It's really fun too. I really love this one. It's so good. And then the difficulty. Okay, there's a good amount of really tricky ones here. Like one specific levels are just really hard to 3-star for no reason. I just really do not like them. But yeah, for the most part, this is just a really fun episode to play through and beat. And I just love it. I love this. Oh, and then the new additions. First of all, you got another Mighty Eagle reskin, the Mighty Basketball. This one is unfortunately paid, so I can't have to have my opinion on that one. Just wanted to mention it. But also, you got basketballs. Okay, just saying, there's basketballs on this level, this episode. Technically, they were introduced in the Pig Days first, but I'm pretty sure it was foreshadowing for this one. So yeah, they were technically introduced here. But yeah. This is a great episode nonetheless. I love it. Despite the fact that there are some episodes here that are tricky to 3-star, it's got great atmosphere, great levels, and just great additions altogether. And just so many levels that are just so fun to beat. And I like this one. Let's just move on before I just stay on this slide forever. Oh, I forgot that one too. Number 4, On Thin Ice. Okay, this is probably our first perfect one here. Almost no flaws whatsoever. So, this one. We got the Finland area and everything. And all that is really cool to see. Combining that with like the Christmas stuff, it works really well. And just works entirely in this episode's favor. There's 3 different backgrounds here again. And they just all look so great. They all just work so well together. And it really feels like we're spending an entire day in Finland around Christmas time. And the difficulty. Okay, again, there's some levels here that are really tricky. But we can overlook them for most episodes down here, which are just really fun to play. And just overall, this is a very balanced episode in terms of difficulty, I'd say. Even if levels are hard to beat, they're usually not that hard to 3-star specifically. Okay, and then again, new addition, new bird. We got Tony, who's Terrence, but can drop down from a height, and that is a really fun power to play with in this episode, and I absolutely love that. And it is a crime that he's only seen in Christmas episodes from here on out. At least in seasons. He came back in a summer episode in Reloaded recently, which is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have the money to get Reloaded, but I will eventually, hopefully, and maybe I'll make a ranking of all of those once ranking gets taken off the App Store. Or Reloaded gets taken off the App Store. I don't know. It probably won't. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, this is an amazing episode with an amazing aesthetic, and I really love it. And now, to the top 3. The bronze medal, number 3, goes to Haunted Hogs. Now this is a nice spoopy Halloween episode. And I really love it. Alright, atmosphere, you're in a haunted house. Yeah, paintings with blinking eyes, that's already awesome. Plus all the different Halloween-y stuff around here, just all comes together to make a great spoopy atmosphere episode, and it all comes together really well, and I really love how it all turns out. Difficulty-wise, this one is really not hard. Like, sure, you have some levels that aren't easy to 3-star, but you don't have any that are, like, ridiculously impossible either. And then the new additions. Chandeliers, technically, I guess, which are instant destroyers. And then ghost bricks. The ghost bricks are really cool. Because, like, you can phase through them, but blocks can't. And they're just really fun to play through. Now, they are only seen in this episode, unfortunately. They're not even included in any of the pig days. I guess really I just didn't really have any uses for them outside of this one. But I actually kind of like that. It makes this one feel a bit more unique. It's really, really cool. So yeah, overall, another really fun episode with a great vibe and lots of cool new features. Okay, silver medal, number 2. Now, before we get into this actually, I just want to say, it was really, really hard picking between what I'm going to put in number 2 and number 1, just because of how good these two are. So keep in mind, when I'm talking about these two, just know, I personally see them as pretty much equal to one another. And I don't see one as greater than the other. So there's one episode here, this number 2 is my favorite, but number 1 is what I truly feel deserves the number 1 spot. Even if I really love this one. Which is Winter Wonderham. One word. Vibes. Just such cozy vibes, and I love it. Okay. Atmosphere. So, it's worth noting that when this episode initially came out, it had a purple background. Or it had like purple tint to it. But then in later versions, I think like the very next version actually, it gained a blue background. And I personally prefer the blue one, but the purple one works just as well too. They already said they did it to make the Northern Lights stand out more, and yes, I love that. I love everything about this. Just the entire background. Okay, if there was one point of criticism I actually had to make about this one, it's that the background is a little plain. But overall, it is just amazing. Plus, you got all the different Christmas items out in the front here, and that's all really cool to see. And then the difficulty. Oh yeah, that's another thing cool, too. Level 4 has, like, a cool Christmas castle. It's supposed to be celebrate, like, Carbon City or something. But, it's just really cool to see in general. Okay, but anyway. difficulty of this one, there's like no tricky levels. There's like no hard levels here at all. Except maybe 1-24, but even then, that one is at least consistent to be. This is just such a fun episode to play through in 3-star and everything. And I just love it. And all the music. Oh, I could spend forever talking about this episode. I don't want to. Let's just move on to the new additions, in which this episode added an ice feature. It did technically add icicles, too, which are kind of like a reskin of the stalactites stalagmites from Angry Birds Classic. So that's pretty cool, seeing them ported here in a creative way. Plus, also the ice thing. That would become a staple for winter levels throughout pretty much the entire game afterwards. So, overall, really fun and cool to see. So you couldn't tell already, yes, this is my favorite episode in Angry Birds seasons. And it's just a really fun episode altogether. And I love everything about it. So what's it doing at number 2 exactly? Well, that's because number 1 is the original Trick or Treat. That's right. Objectively speaking, I feel as though no episode has ever been better than the original one. And no, it's not just because it has the most levels out of any other episode in the game. Well, first of all, this one's kind of an enigma, because this is the only one that has cutscenes. Mostly because this was originally supposed to be a part of Angry Birds Classic, and they decided to move it to its own game, because they didn't want a later classic, but also don't want to make it feel too awkward either. It was a pretty good solution, in my opinion. But, yeah. This episode was the only one that originally have a story to it. So I guess I could technically rank this one under Classic if I wanted to as well, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna talk about it here. This is the spookiest Angry Birds has ever looked, in my opinion. Just the way the moon illuminates just super dark sky with an orange glow underneath it. What's causing that orange glow, by the way? It's not the sun, is it? If so, that makes for some really cool vibes. As though you're just about to go out trick-or-treating. That's awesome. Plus, I got all the pumpkins everywhere, jack-o'-lanterns, lanterns in general. Plus spoopy builds for all of these things everywhere. Oh, man, it all comes together, and it all looks so great. You even got big old spoopy trees in the foreground. Look at all that. That all looks so cool. Okay, and then there's the difficulty. I love the way the difficulty is set up in this one. With the first section being all tutorial levels and easy levels. The second one being all relatively normal difficulty levels, and then section 3 being hard levels. And as such, I can forgive it for if levels here are really hard to resolve. Which there, again, even in the third section, aren't really that many. And it makes this one really fun to play. So yeah, that's really good there. And finally, for new additions. Similar with poached eggs, this one added technically the game itself, which, symbolism and stuff. It's pretty cool to see. Overall, I love this episode. And I love this game. And this is everything great about Angry Birds Seasons, all wrapped up in one episode. Well, that took a really long time. Over an hour. Wow. See, I told you this one would be a huge one. The good news is, everything else shouldn't be as long, hopefully. Maybe Star Wars will be the longest, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Point is, that is the end of this video. And that is my ranking. Once again, it's purely my opinion. Don't get mad at me over any of this. I always try not to get too mad. I know some of you are real sensitive out there. but whatever. Thank you everyone for watching. If you liked it, you know what to do. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.